Well, hello, friends and neighbors. Welcome back to the next edition of Monday Night Live. I have with me this evening the Right Honorable Amanda Decker, nurse practitioner from Clear Path Medical in Dixon, Tennessee. Amanda is not my wife. This is not Nisha. She has not changed her hair. This is our good friend and our colleague and our coworker. And sometimes she fills in for Nisha. So we are here with you for the next hour or so to answer as many questions as you have about using diet to improve your health. We can talk about nutrition, medications, medical conditions, nutrition news, medical news. We're not going to talk about politics, religion, or
poop.
We might talk about poop.
I know you always just say it and we still talk about it.
And we might talk about sex, but it'll be in a strictly medical way if we talk.
An appropriate conversation.
That's exactly right. Because it can be very therapeutic if you talk about it for somebody who's having a problem.
Sure.
So you guys, if you haven't already done so, already hit that thumbs up. And please share this on social media so that we can help new people who we've never met. That's why I started this YouTube channel back in 2017. Is to help people improve their health all over the world that I had never met. So you can help me do that. How you been?
I'm great.
How you doing?
I'm doing fine.
You doing fine? So you worked today. You saw some patients today.
I did.
That went well.
Mm-hmm.
That's always fun to do that.
Hey, I'm now licensed in 23 states.
So you're now licensed in 23 states.
So we just added West Virginia.
Mountain Mama, take me home.
So.
West Virginia, because they need some
They do.
medical care.
Yeah.
100%. Even especially their governor, he needs some keto or some carnivore.
Oh.
And RFK Jr. yelled at him about it.
Good.
Did you see that?
I did not.
Yeah, it was like, we're putting you on the carnivore diet.
Sweet.
And like a press conference, and the governor's like, what?
What?
Yeah, but he would greatly benefit, no doubt about it. All right, guys, if you've got a question, now's the time to type it in. Type in a short question in the comment section, as short as you can. YouTube will cut you off. And don't ask lab questions like with lots of lab results. We do that in the private community. And when we start talking about your reverse T3 and your TPO antibody, if somebody doesn't have a thyroid problem, that didn't really help them. So we'll talk about that in the private group. So just kind of general nutrition, health questions, and it can be about something about your specific health, but keep it a little more general than my urine is positive for nitrites. What does that mean? Don't ask me that. Which I could answer, but we're not going to do it tonight. Okay, first up from RMD, what blood test should I ask my doctor for in order to possibly see a rheumatologist about possible Sjogren's? So there are rheumatology panels in both LabCorp and Quest that a primary care doctor can order. There's 2 or 3 different rheumatology panels. There's like a level 1, then level 2, and then more specific. And if your primary care doctor will just order the level 1 rheumatology panel, then here's the problem with that. Very, very often you can have an autoimmune disease like rheumatoid arthritis, and all your labs will be normal. But the rheumatologist is going to want to see those tests. And so if you walk in the door with the level 1 rheumatology panel, that's going to probably shave 1 return visit off and maybe save you some time to get you to a diagnosis. And then also all the metabolic labs we talk about in Common Sense Labs and inside the private group as well. All right, let's see what we got here. Here's Stephen. What's your take on using GLP-1 and the carnivore diet? So the GLP-1 agonists are the most popular ones are Ozempic, Wegovy, and Mounjaro. And I think you and I share a similar opinion. It's not the opinion of every keto and carnivore friendly doctor out there. I think that it's totally fine if you are severely obese or severely type 2 diabetic. So you weigh 350 pounds or you have an A1C of 14. I think it's perfectly fine as you're adopting and getting used to keto or carnivore to use a low dose of one of those, Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro, for a few months to kind of get you a head start out of the gate, to get those numbers down. Because if you're severely obese, there's a reason that that's a medical designation between obese and severe obesity. It's because you're much more likely to have morbidity or mortality, which means disease or death. And so that actually means something. And when your A1C is 14, you're at such high risk of a heart attack or a stroke or blindness or any other number of things that it's ridiculous. And so let's walk through. If you just had a new patient come in, severe uncontrolled type 2 and severely obese, how would you start on a GLP-1 agonist?
GLP-1. So we'd have a very real conversation to start. You need to know the risks and the benefits, because there is some on both sides. Now, everything you can do with the GLP-1, you can do with diet.
Yep.
And we make that very clear
100%.
up front. Is
Yes.
if you change to a proper human diet that is high enough in protein and high enough in fat, you're essentially getting the same results that you would with the GLP-1, about a little bit slower, because you're souping up
You're doing
this
it
duck.
naturally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's fair to say that ketogenic diets and carnivore diets are GLP-1 mimicking
Absolutely.
diets, or that the GLP-1 agonists are keto carnivore mimicking drugs.
Yeah.
Because they act very similarly in your system. But obviously, if you add a little Ozempic, that's going to speed up your progress. Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely. And so there, and I think you said we would have a very real conversation.
Absolutely.
Because there are known potential side effects. There are known risks with the GLP-1 agonists. And many doctors they're so popular right now.
Yeah.
Many docs just gloss over that. Like, oh, no,
everybody's a weight loss specialist now.
Yeah, everybody's an obesity expert.
Yeah.
But you need to, if you're on Ozempic right now, you're like, well, my doctor didn't tell me there was any side effects or complications.
No.
You need to Google that, okay? Because there are, and doesn't mean you're going to have one. It means you need to have given informed consent for the doctor to prescribe that to you. And if you weren't informed, then you couldn't give informed consent, could you?
No, you could not. And we also talk about the coming off of it before we even go on it, because coming off of these drugs is very difficult. Your hunger signals really ramp up. And if you're not prepared for that mentally and emotionally, it can
and your
easily
pantry
slide back.
is not prepared for
Your
that.
home has to be prepared
Yeah.
for it. It's so easy to slide back in. But I'm not going to shame anybody who needs to use them, because they are a very useful tool and can be that, but just a tool. They're not going to fix it forever for you.
Yeah, and I definitely don't recommend high dose Ozempic. I definitely don't recommend taking it for the rest of your life, because I think when you do that, the risk of complications and side effects goes much, much higher. And also, you're still feeding your body poison. If you're just depending on the Ozempic and eating whatever, you're still eating inflammatory, high sugar garbage. And although the bathroom scales may be giving you a good number, doesn't mean you're healthy. It just means you're less fat. And that being less fat is one of your goals, I know, but it's not the goal. The goal is to be healthier. And so, yeah, I'm fine with using it short term at a low dose. Good question. All right, let's get a couple more here. This is my story. This is my song. Hey, Dr. Berry, 3 weeks into strict carnivore, but having temporary kidney pain from time to time. Oxalate dumping, maybe. So you're almost certainly not having kidney pain. There are no nerve endings in the human kidney. There are only nerve endings in the collecting ducts and in the ureter. So literally, if I could open your belly up and get to your kidney, I could stab your kidney with a knife, and you literally couldn't feel it. Okay, unless I stabbed deep enough to get to the collecting ducts, then you would feel it, and you would slap me and say, "Stop stabbing my kidney." So this is probably a low back tweak or something else going on, or you may have a little kidney stone that's moved a little bit, and since you've been on carnivore, the stone may have shrunk enough that it can actually move into the collecting system now. And sometimes you'll pass a little 1 millimeter stone, and it's like, "Oh, what was that?" And then it's like, "I don't know, it's gone. I don't know." Because really the tightest spot is where the collecting tubules empty into the ureter. There's a little kink there. And so that really hurts when it goes around the bends. That could be what it was. This is probably not your kidney hurting though.
Yeah.
But if it keeps hurting, gets worse, obviously go see your doctor, because even though I'm a nurse practitioner and she's a doctor
or something like that,
we're not your doctor. This is not medical advice. So if you guys have any questions about anything, see your doctor. Briar Rose says, hello, PhD coaches. We got several coaches in the chat who, if they see a newbie question, will just reach out and answer your question in the chat. If they have a blue wrench beside their name, you can trust what they say, because they are certified health coaches and they are in our private group all the time. And they've been listening to me run my mouth for several years. And so they know what I'm going to say. All right, let's see. There's a lab question. We talked about that. Don't ask me your lab questions tonight with all your lab results. Donna says, will too much protein kick me out of ketosis? And I've actually had at length discussions with Professor Ben Bickman about this. And his answer is, if you're eating low carbohydrate enough, you cannot eat enough protein to kick yourself out of ketosis. You cannot eat enough protein to force gluconeogenesis and spike your blood sugar. The human body just doesn't work that way. So yeah, don't worry about that. Just eat fatty meat until you're comfortably stuffed, and that'll take care of all of it.
What if they're eating lean stuff? What if they're doing tons of protein shakes that are without added fats and things like that? That's a
good point. So anytime I say the words keto or carnivore, I'm talking about actual real human food. I'm never talking about protein shakes. Even if it says keto protein shake, that is not keto. Okay. Even if it says keto protein bar, that's not keto. Okay. We're talking about meat and veg. That's keto. And carnivore is meat and meat. So yeah, but now I think you probably could gulp enough protein shake powder to do all those things.
Yeah,
yes, absolutely.
Real food comes with fat.
That's exactly
Fake
right.
food doesn't.
That's exactly right. Here's a good question. We were just talking about peptides. What do you think of microdosing peptides?
Well, that's a loaded question, because how many different peptides are there?
There's a bunch. There's a bunch.
But maybe they're talking just about GLP-1?
Maybe, because it is also a peptide,
Yeah.
but I think maybe they're talking about like BPC 156 or others. Do you do any of that in your clinic?
I'm tiptoeing into those waters. I'm trying to learn, because that's not something they teach us in medical
Not
school.
at all.
I mean,
That's
did
totally
you learn
true.
anything
No,
about that?
nothing,
I didn't
nothing.
in my Vanderbilt.
I think I learned the names of a couple of them with regard to physiology, but as using them as a therapeutic intervention, no, nothing whatsoever.
I think there's potential.
I absolutely think there's potential. Sermorelin, what's some of the others?
CJ 127.
Right. A lot of people are getting very froggy with them. They're getting quite popular. And I think there's probably some utility. I think that if the FDA would loosen up and let people study them, I think that some of them are going to turn out to be very useful, but obviously that would cut into the profits of Big Pharma. And so the lobbyists in DC probably are going to try to say, let's not change that. There goes the politics.
With that said, I think you have to be very careful with peptides, because a lot of them are not manufactured to the best standards. I mean, it's just internet companies out there looking to make a dollar, and it's hard to tell who's legit and who's not.
100%. And so if you do want to experiment with the peptides, like BPC 157 or any of those, find a healthcare provider. Find somebody that you know and trust and can put your hands on if they mislead you. That's the country boy way. Nona says, I had a Rowan Y 6 years ago, seeing some weight gain. Is carnivore good for me? Well, first of all, Nona, let me say this. You're not alone. About 80% of people who have Rowan Y surgery gain back all the weight. About 80%. Eventually, over the course of years, they gain it all back because they overeat it and stretch the pouch. And so 100% carnivore is perfect for you, because with that tiny pouch, you want to be eating the most nutrient-dense food that you can possibly ingest so that you're able to get as many of the vitamins and minerals as you possibly can. And there's nothing that's more nutrient-dense than a proper human diet, whether that's keto, ketovore, carnivore, or even the lion diet. What would you recommend for somebody who had Rowan Y and is starting to gain the weight?
Absolutely. Go carnivore.
100%. Yeah. And it doesn't mean you have to be carnivore the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Go carnivore, stop the weight gain, get the weight back off, and then you can play around with adding some broccoli or adding some nuts or something, and maybe wind up being keto.
Maybe.
But if you want to get it back down to where it should be as quickly as possible,
a lot of ruined white people, they get stuck in the habit of having like these little snack packs because the dietitian is recommending a certain calorie amount after that. But remember, they also recommended a protein amount post-surgery, and I see that slide off. And that's when hunger really starts to kick in too. So Whole Foods, 100%.
Holly says, Nisha looks different tonight.
Oh, no. Not Nisha.
Not Nisha tonight. Not Nisha. Okay, yeah, let's talk about this.
Okay.
Robert says, thoughts on using ivermectin for treating diabetes type 2? Okay. So we all know what happened back in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And when ivermectin was demonized, it was called a veterinary medicine. It's for horses. It's not for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's do not take it under any circumstances. Doctors lost their licenses prescribing it. That was egregious. Okay. Ivermectin is a super good medicine. It's super safe. It's been FDA approved. It was around before there was an FDA, I think, if I think I'm remembering right. It's in the World Health Organization's list of essential medications that a country must have in order to be like a modern medical country. Now, it was so demonized and so bastardized during the COVID, whatever that was, that a lot of people on the other side, there's this huge backlash now. And now there's people saying, hey, you can cure cancer with ivermectin or fenbendazole or any number of other things. Methylene blue. Oh my God, they've squashed this. It's a hidden secret. Oh, also I sell ivermectin, by the way. Right? And you can buy it from me. Here's the toll-free number or whatever. Ivermectin is a good medicine for what it's good for. Ivermectin does not cure cancer. Ivermectin will not reverse your type 2 diabetes. Okay? No, and no. I'm sorry. Whoever said that, I guarantee you there was a website you could go buy ivermectin from them. So what we're seeing is the pendulum swinging all the way to the other side with a certain subset of people. And now ivermectin will literally raise people from the dead. Right? Because if the federal government says don't take it, it must be the fentanyl of youth. It must cure. It must be a panacea. And that's obviously not correct. No, don't do that.
If it was, it would have been there all along.
Exactly.
Because of how long it's been out.
Yeah, doctors use medicines off label all the time. And there would have been a doctor somewhere who used some ivermectin in somebody and their type 2 diabetes went away. And he went, oh, that was weird. Let me try that on another type 2 diabetic. And then if he saw a pattern, he would write up what's called a case report. And he would publish that. And that would be somewhere in the literature. And then we could look that up and go, oh, yeah, Dr. McGillicuddy, he did that back in the 1970s. So it is a real thing, but it's not a real thing because Dr. McGillicuddy doesn't exist. He is a construct. And no, it won't reverse your type 2 diabetes.
You know what did happen like that?
What?
Keto, banting.
That's right.
First cases of curing diabetes. Well, curing type 2 diabetes.
Yeah. And you know what's funny is that's happened multiple times through history. Like the first time I can find, I've been searching this history. Back in the late 1700s, a doctor figured out that an all-meat diet would reverse type 2 diabetes. And he put all his patients on it. And he also found out it cured all kinds of other stuff. Wrote a book about it. But he didn't have social media. So when he died, the idea died. And it took another 20, 50 years for the next doctor to discover it. But now we've got social media and we've got people like you who can just click the share button and share this with everybody. And somebody who's about to click the button to buy ivermectin to reverse their type 2 diabetes will see this video and go, oh, but keto or carnivore will reverse it. And I don't have to buy keto or carnivore from Dr. Barry or Amanda. I can just do it and it'll reverse my type 2 diabetes. Cool, right? Love social media. Gotta love it, right? Okay, let's get these questions over. Here is Sharon. Daughter's pregnant with third baby, first carnivore baby. She uses a midwife. What labs you suggest? 7 weeks long enough. 7 weeks long.
She's 7 weeks along.
Oh, she's 7 weeks along. Carnivore baby. She uses a midwife. What labs do you suggest?
It repeated.
It's repeated several times. Okay. So any midwife is going to have a list of tests. There's just a known prenatal intake lab panel that every pregnant woman gets. I have ordered hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them through the years and looked at them. It includes a hepatitis B in the prenatal pregnancy profile. And so if the mom is hepatitis B negative, then that kind of answers your question about, should I give my 1-day-old baby the hepatitis B vaccine? Just a little extra there for no extra charge. And so the midwife's going to take care of the labs. I don't recommend that you do the 75-gram glucola stress test. I'd say just ask the midwife for a continuous glucose monitor so you can watch that, or you can check serial fructosamines. They work great in pregnancy. The problem with A1C in pregnancy is that a woman's A1C can be falsely elevated or falsely low when she's pregnant because of all the physiological changes. So you can't use an A1C really in pregnant women. And so, but fructosamine or a continuous glucose monitor, or she can just prick her finger 5 or 6 times a day.
I'd go the monitor 100%.
Get the CGM. Yes. That makes
it's not fun.
No, you don't want to do that. DWJ, have you heard of burning mouth syndrome? Tongue feels scalded, but is not and looks fine. Yes, I have. I've had about, I'd say 10 people over the course of my career with burning mouth syndrome. And I can remember when I first discovered it, I was standing in the cubby at the clinic and I was like, it's probably the second, it's almost always elderly women. And I think I had one elderly man. And I was like, what is this? That's burning mouth syndrome. I typed that in just accidentally. And it's like, oh, it's a thing. Holy crap. I was also not taught about that in medical school. And I proceeded to try so many different things for it. Have you ever found anything that's just rings the bell for burning mouth syndrome?
So especially in the older women, a lot of times it's B12 deficiency.
Yep, that absolutely can be.
They actually are not consuming the protein that they need.
The meat.
Little bitty portions. A lot of times it can be a side effect of a medication.
100%.
It can also be an indicator of other autoimmune conditions.
Yep, absolutely.
So that's kind of my top 3 that I look at.
Yep. But after you rule all those things out or correct those things, if they still have burning mouth syndrome, I have tried at least 20 different drugs. Nothing touches it. Nothing helps. Now, I have had 2 or 3 women in our community who say that when they're strict carnivore, the burning mouth syndrome is much less severe, which kind of makes sense because I think it has to be some kind of neuropathy, right? It's got to be because the tongue looks totally normal. But yeah, I've never found a pharmaceutical that helps it whatsoever. I mean, I could give you enough Valium to just knock you out, then you wouldn't be conscious and know your tongue's burning. But yeah, I like checking the B6, the B12. I like looking at the medication list and saying which one of these might be causing that. But other than that, proper human diet's about all I can tell you, and that's not guaranteed. Thank you, Daniel, very much. Tom, how do I safely and permanently transition off citalopram, Selexa? I tried gradually reducing, but failed. Anxiety returned with depression. 1 year proper human diet, Ketovore, now stable, 74-year-old male, Caucasian, and happy. So there is only one way to do it, and that is very, very slowly, Tom. What many doctors consider slow is not slow, right? So citalopram, is it a... It comes in a 10, 20, 40. Is that what it comes in? That's what I was thinking. So most doctors would consider, oh, you're on 40 right now, right, Tom? We're going to cut it down to 20. And then in a week, we'll cut it to 10. That's not slow. That's not even a first cousin to slow. Many people have to go to a compounding pharmacy and have it compounded in a liquid and decrease like 1 drop a week. And it takes a year for some people. Now, I hope that doesn't happen to you, Tom. But you're just going to have to transition off of it much, much slower than you currently are.
This is one of those instances, too. I like to measure ketones because the higher your ketone level in this instance, the more your brain's getting fuel and it can keep you calmer, too. So we definitely want to keep your ketones above 1 while you're transitioning off, and which on a carnivore diet may mean that you have to add a whole lot more fat.
Add a stick of butter, Tom, and then talk to your doctor. And so if the doctor's just refuses to send you a prescription to a compounding pharmacy. It's just like, no, we're going to do it with these pills. Then what you can do is don't go from 40 a day to 20 a day. Do 40, 20, 40, 20, 40, 20 every other day. Do that for a month. Or longer, right? And then go to 20, 20, 40, 20, 20, 40, and do that for a month. And then you can maybe go to 20 and then stick at 20 for a month or two. And then start 20, 10, 20, 10, or you might go 20, 20, 10, 20, 20, 10, and do that for a month or two, right? You're just going to have to very gradually, because most of the SSRIs like Selexa and Zoloft and Paxil and Prozac, they stay in your system about 28-ish hours. It's a little different for each one. And so you can do that 20-40, 20-40 thing, and it averages out so that you're not weaning down as quickly. Have you ever had to play around with stuff like that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's a pain for the patient, also a pain for the provider, but it's way less of a pain for us because we're not the one having to suffer it. But just know, anybody taking one of these SSRIs, that just because you lower the dose and you feel worse, that doesn't mean necessarily that your depression's coming back or your anxiety's coming back. It doesn't necessarily mean that. It can be a withdrawal side effect.
Absolutely.
You've seen that, right? Yeah, absolutely. And so just maybe stick with it if you're like, oh, I feel really yuck today. If you're not yuck to the point of I'm going to jump off the bridge, then just stick with it. Give it a few days for your body to adjust to the new lower dose. And then also add a stick of butter so your ketones stay good and high, and that's going to make it less hard.
Absolutely. And do all those good things for yourself. Go spend time outside, get vitamin D,
sunlight,
do the grounding, be in relationships with other people and have that connection. And, just self-care stuff becomes even more important coming off the meds.
100%. Yeah. Go for a walk in nature, be around the sun, be around the blue sky, the green leaves, all that stuff. That's actually supposed to be our environment. Get out of the house, get off social media after this live is over. Yes. And go outside and play barefoot in the yard. Look at the sky and let the sun shine on you. And that's going to make it less hard. Still won't be easy.
No.
Good question, Tom. Good luck to you. And if you're in the private group, you can ask me more questions at any time. And we've talked about the private group several times. And if any of you are like, what's this private group thing? So if you open your phone and pull up the camera app and point it at this thing, a little button will pop up and you click that button and it'll take you to the website for the Proper Human Diet community and you can join. And I'll be live in there tomorrow at 4 p.m. Central, answering even more questions.
If Tom needs a provider that's actually going to listen to him and respond to him in a timely fashion and let him text them, and it's not like on cell phone, but an app.
So if you need a doc to manage the medication changes and prescriptions, Amanda Decker is licensed in 23 states now, including West Virginia.
Yes.
And her website is clearpathmedical.net.
So proud of you.
Right? So good, right? Clearpathmedical.net. And you can sign up and become her virtual patient, or you can always just come to Dixon, Tennessee and see her in person because she's kind of cute. I mean, it'd be worth the drive. And she's also very smart.
Thank you.
Yes. And so, you find a virtual provider who can adjust and play with the dosages with you if your doctor refuses to do that.
Absolutely. Hi, Chris.
Hey, Chris Cook in Nashville. Close family member, female, who's over 60, had type 2 diabetes, now testing for Cushing's. Meat heavy keto, working with doc. Any other specific tips I can share at the start? As far as reversing the type 2 diabetes, meat heavy keto and try to get her to lean towards Ketovore as much as you possibly can. That's literally going to reverse it in 3 to 9 months.
Yeah. But with looking at the Cushing side of things, but now we're talking about cortisol.
Right.
And I have several patients that I've found Cushing's and that explains their type 2 diabetes and explains why it's been so difficult for them and why it's a struggle.
100%.
So when you're looking at cortisol, you got to manage it in multiple avenues. So you got to look at that stress management, the sleep cycling, all of the stuff that controls cortisol, daylight synchronizing, things like that. Yep.
Morning sunlight. And I'll tell you guys a little secret about medical things. Most doctors, Cushing's is not even on their menu.
Nope.
You come in, they just see an obese type 2 diabetic.
Absolutely.
They never, I don't know why this is, but the average primary care doctor, that's what I'm talking about, the average guy, there's some out there who are great, but the average doc never tests you for Cushing's. So I'm huzzah for her doctor for even testing her for that, unless she Googled it herself and said, hey, shouldn't you test me for this? Because that happens a lot too. Cushing's and hyperparathyroidism. Those are the two things that evidently every primary care doctor in America just either missed that day of medical school or forgot it, or I don't know what. But
I was told in medical school I'd be lucky to ever see it in my career. So we were just told it was this wild zebra that we would never see.
Yeah, I found it
like 5 in the last few years.
I have found that to not be true. It's much more common. Same for hyperparathyroidism. They're like, oh, it's super rare. It's pretty darn common. Yeah, and if any of you guys have ever had a kidney stone, you need to be checked for hyperparathyroidism immediately, because you probably had it and your doctor doesn't know. Therefore, you don't know. But she's not diagnosed with Cushing's. They're just testing, which is good. I love that. And then also, Chris, you can ask me any questions in the private group if you have more questions. Caleb, how to heal skin on carnivore, eczema specifically. So there's a secret way on carnivore, an extra step you have to do.
Oh, what is this? What am I not doing? Well, I'm not carnivore all the time. That's probably it. But
there's not. I'm just kidding. All you have to do is eat meat, eat fatty meat, and your eczema. I've yet to see somebody who's been strict carnivore for over 3 months who still has anything other than a tiny little patch of their eczema left.
Yeah.
Same for psoriasis.
Oh no, psoriasis takes a little longer.
The timeline. I totally agree. But eczema is virtually always either a grain, wheat, rice, oats, corn, one of those, or one of the beans, and like 80% of the time. And so you go carnivore, you eliminate all that, and it just goes away. Eczema is a diet-induced rash. Unless you're being exposed to some chemical, soap, toxin, detergent that's causing it, which is also possible. But if you're like, no, I've eliminated all that, it's your diet, 100%. You don't have to do anything special, just eat meat and eggs. And now talk about psoriasis.
Yeah.
Share as much as you want.
Well, where do you want me to start? I have
it's
a
your
long
story
history with it. So I was diagnosed at 5. I think I told that here. 5 is very young to be diagnosed. At least it was in the 80s. For the most of my life, it was on some part of my body. At one point, 80% had a plaque somewhere. So not 80% totally covered, but 80% had.
And you were how old when you were 80%?
Oh, goodness. I was an adult.
You were an adult?
Yeah, I was an adult. It was probably late 20s.
So not fun.
No. And at one point, I was on a biologic to suppress my immune system and make it go away. I was keto at that point. But then in COVID, I went carnivore, used it as an elimination diet, got off my autoimmune type medicine because I didn't want to die. Sure.
Because you don't want to be suppressing your immune system during a pandemic.
Exactly. Yep. And now I was asked this question on a live a week ago, do I think it can go away? And I think for some people it can't. Like for me, I think I'm always going to have psoriasis, and mine is very much stress triggered. An environment triggered, like if I go to a vacation, something and the sheets are washed and something weird, I might start breaking out. But it's nowhere near like it was. Right. Now, I can tell if I have something that triggers it, I start itching in the spots that I had my predominant plaques. They don't break out, but they itch. And I'm like, oh, heck no.
But that's so cool that your body literally says, hey, honey, no, don't do that. Yeah. I love it. I love that about the body. But my experience with psoriasis, eczema is going to go completely away if you restrict enough for long enough. Psoriasis, my typical with meat heavy keto, ketovore, carnivore, what I see is if somebody go like Amanda's 80%, they'll go and they'll wind up with a little patch, and it'll either be on the back of their leg or on their arm or on their scalp, and it's just a little patch, and that they still have psoriasis 100%. But as long as they keep their diet clean and strict, they're like, it's 99% better. So they're very happy about that. Yep. I think there's definitely a little genetic defect with psoriasis, because I've seen so many people like you who are just perfect with their diet and everything else, still got that little patch. Yep. It's very common. Here's Will, 42-year-old male, 309 pounds currently, training to run a marathon now.
More power to you, man.
Oh, but let's not do it yet. Carnivore 4 weeks, felt fatigue.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's called sugar withdrawal. Now occasional carbs to recover. Yeah. That's like the crack addict saying, I just smoke a little crack every now and then to recover.
You're actually prolonging.
You are. That's right. Intermittent carnivore, if you will. Should I pause training to get fully adapted or do this compromise? So here's what I'm going to say. As a family doctor who used to do a ton of sports medicine, please stop training for a marathon while you're 309 pounds. Please stop that immediately. Do not do that. I need you to be strict carnivore for 6 to 9 months. And I need you to lose about 100 to 150 pounds, depending on how tall you are. Did you tell me? No. And then you can start training for your marathon. Because if you start training for a marathon and running miles a day at 309 pounds, you're going to tear cartilage. You're going to tear a meniscus. You're going to tweak something. You're going to have a partial ligament tear. It's just going to happen. There's too much weight on your ankle, your knee, your hip. Too much. Don't do it yet. Okay. And so you can say you're training for a marathon by just eating carnivore and going for long, brisk walks every day. And you're totally training for a marathon, but you're doing it wisely, because that'd be like going out, somebody who's never touched a weight for 20 years, and then they go out and try to bench press 400 pounds or try to deadlift 600 pounds. You're going to rip your guts out. Don't do that. Start low, go slow. And right now you're 309 pounds, my friend. Okay. And thank you for the super chat. And I hope you take my advice, and I'm definitely not discounting your question in any way. If you were my brother, Will, literal blood brother, I would tell you exactly, except I would couch it in more abrasive terms.
He's going to cuss at you.
I would say, dumbass. Why are you out there running? You're 309 pounds. You might as well go ahead and make an appointment with the orthopedic surgeon.
Yeah. What
are you doing? Okay. So yes, I'm being very serious with this. Get 100 pounds off. And when you lose 100 pounds, you literally take thousands of pounds of angular load off your knees and off your ankles and off your hips, because they magnify and compound how much you weigh, especially when you're running. Don't do that, please. You agree with that?
I 100% agree with that. But even right now, you've got to stop the intermittent stuff. So yes, it does take the body at least 6 weeks to become fat adapted, meaning running fuel predominantly off of fat and
running off that
sugar.
fat. Yeah.
And then every time you dose back the sugar or the carbs, you just kind of start that process over again. So it is something that you're going to have to get through and move through. But 100% get the diet down. And, training for a marathon can be, I'm running a 5K or I'm walking a 5K. Let's start there and then go to the next one, to the next one.
Yeah, and work your way up. And I don't be disappointed by this answer, because I want you to successfully run a marathon without injury. Yep. That's my goal for you. Okay. And that should be your goal as well. I love it, man. These people are motivated. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Derek. Is stevia okay on carnivore? Now you going to put stevia on your meat?
No.
Is that what you're going to do?
Well, maybe a teriyaki.
You're going to put stevia on your scrambled eggs? Is that what you're going to do?
No,
what do you use the stevia
in
for?
The coffee.
Yeah,
to cut the
put it in the coffee. Yeah, I understand.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's probably fine. You're going to reap tons of benefits on carnivore, even if you're having a little coffee with your stevia. Okay. But what I do want you to do over the next month or two is slowly wean down how much stevia you're drinking, because there is a thing known as the cephalic phase insulin response that is much more prominent in some people than in others. Some people can elevate their insulin levels by ingesting stevia or monk fruit or erythritol or saccharin or NutraSweet or Splenda. Some people, it seems like maybe it doesn't elevate much, but in some people, especially people who tend to fatten very easily, that insulin is going to go do-do-do-do-do, and then the fat loss is going to go do-do-do-do-do. Does that make sense? So it's fine to use it. If any of you guys are like, I'm doing keto with Diet Coke, is that okay? Yeah, it's fine. It's getting you where you want to be, but let's not keep sponsoring Coca-Cola's billions of dollars of profit. I think they've made enough off of making people sick. Let's gravitate slowly but surely towards water, whether that's sparkling or still. And you can put just a little drop of stevia in your coffee, and that'll knock the bitterness off until you grow up and drink your coffee black like a man. Just kidding.
You can use an egg in it.
You can put
it. It actually gets a sweetness to it.
Yep. I like putting just the yolk.
Yeah.
But you have to froth it
Oh, you
really
gotta be
good.
ready to go.
You
like,
can't just
or you
stir it
cook
with
your
the
egg.
food. Yeah,
You don't want cooked egg
yeah.
in your coffee.
But if you froth an egg yolk in your coffee, it's delicious. Totally delicious.
Tastes like
Yeah.
latte.
I totally agree. Totally agree. Let's see. Derek, Galena. Opinion on plaque progression in the keto CTA study. So this is the huge controversy. What the study showed was that in people who are known lean mass hyperresponders, no, the elevation of their LDL cholesterol was not associated with how much plaque they made. So in other words, if your LDL is a little elevated, you made a little more plaque. If it's really elevated, you made a lot more. There was no association at all. Okay. Also for the ApoB, same exact thing. It didn't matter if your ApoB was sky high. It had nothing to do with plaque progression. Now they've got a 2-year study coming out on this. They've got a updated kind of part 2 to the study coming. A lot of people had a problem with the way they released the study and kind of promoted it. And maybe
somebody's gonna have a problem about everything.
Of course. But it did not show, if you're keto or carnivore, you have this terrible plaque progression, which is what a lot of the vegan cardiologists are trying to say. It didn't show.
No, it showed plaque when it had already
Begets
started.
plaque.
Creates more plaque. So there's another process that's already going on.
And so what that means is there's other physiological processes, some of which we may not even know about yet, that if you've already developed some plaque, that is your biggest risk factor for developing more plaque in the future. In my opinion, my educated opinion, a statin is not going to slow that plaque progression down. A Repatha, Praluent, a PCSK9 inhibitor is not going to slow that progression down. There is some limited research and a lot of anecdotal research that eating a very, very low-carb diet strictly can stop the progression or slow the progression down, or in some cases actually reverse the progression. Also, my buddy Ford Brewer, who's a preventative medicine doctor, he's a big fan of nattokinase, and I know you use that, but you talk about that a little bit. Talk about that. And it's Dr. Ovadia as well.
Sorry,
yeah, I'm sorry. We're from Tennessee. You can't pronounce it like we do. So talk to us about the nattokinase.
Yes.
What's the theory behind that?
So I believe it's that it works similar to like Plavix does. It makes the platelets not sticky, and if the platelets are not sticky, you're not building as much plaque in there. But I think it also has some anti-inflammatory properties that comes originally from a fermented vegetable. Yeah, that's the basics. It's not going to harm you. That's what I got. There's no drug interactions. There's not any downsides.
And it's super safe. And it's been, people have been taking it for decades. So it's not like it's some new thing, number one. And number two, there's not any bedrock research that just proves that nattokinase does this. But there's some limited research. The kind of the physiological steps make sense that it would do that. And there's a lot of anecdotal evidence of people who say, hey, I took nattokinase and my CAC score went down 100 points. And so, it's worth a try. It's super safe and it's relatively
inexpensive. Was a lot of that research done where the vegetable originated, like in Japan or whatnot?
A ton of that kind of research.
It's going to be a little skewed. What does that look like when Americans take this?
Right.
We don't have the same environment.
Right. We don't have the same environment. We don't have exactly the same genetics.
True.
We definitely don't have the same gut microbiome, all these things. And that's why they call medicine practice, is because there's literally an infinite number of variables with each individual patient. You see, there's I
should quit now.
It gives you a panic attack. If you think about it too much as a healthcare provider, it gives you a little panic attack. You're like, geez, like literally there's a million things I don't even know going on in this patient. What's happening at home? What's happening in their relationships? What's happening? Literally, do they ever go outside? Do they? I don't know. It's maddening if you just can't think about it. You have to do the best you can do and just move on. Take a deep breath.
With the information you have at hand.
Move on. You can't dwell on it.
And be cute and likable so people don't see you.
Exactly. And intelligent. Thank you, Holly Kreisel, very much. Keto Simple. I've been seeing an uptick of content around parasites in humans. How likely is it that the average person has parasites in modern America?
Everybody just wants something to be like the golden ticket.
We
This
want-
is the answer.
We want a scapegoat.
Yeah.
That's why.
Oh.
Yeah, I've got parasite. Now, let me just, first of all, let's walk through this logically.
Let's do it.
If you have, and the most common parasites, when people say parasites, they mean intestinal worms. That's what they mean,
Not the
right?
ones in the brain.
Right. Not like RFK's brain worm. So, in your studies, when you were in school, when they showed a picture of somebody with flatworm or roundworm, invariably, what did the person look like?
They were emaciated.
They were skinny. Having worms doesn't make you fat. Where did that, how did anybody think that? And I've got a great anecdote. Granny Berry grew up super poor.
Yeah.
They all had worms every year. Every year in the springtime, they would give them a little pill called a red chaser. Ain't no damn telling what it was probably lead, mercury, and cadmium. I don't know. But it gave them the shits for about 2 weeks. Ain't that right, Granny Berry? But it got rid of the worms.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's the spring cleanup. Literally. But they would get bony if they had worms. They'd get super skinny. It does not make you fat if you have worms. So if any of you guys are sitting there right now going, wait, what? I just paid how much for this book or this supplement or this worm chaser, whatever. And they knew I was severely obese, and they said that the worms are what made me obese. What do you have to say about that?
Just want your money.
They want your money, honey. Yeah, worms don't make you fat, okay? If you live in a house that's relatively clean, and you don't have chickens or pigs walking around in your house, if you wear shoes the majority of each day, I would bet you 1,000, and you're not emaciated skinny, I would bet you $1,000 that you don't have worms. And you can come here and we'll send off a poop sample. And if you got worms, I'll just shell out the $100 bills. You don't have worms, okay? Worms are possible, theoretically, and every year a few thousand Americans, for some weird, odd exposure, will have worms. Now, also, when somebody has worms, they go to their healthcare provider, and they could even do this virtually from 23 different states. Yeah. They could get on and say, hey, I've got worms. And then they could hold up a roundworm, which they're about this long, and they literally look like an earthworm, or a flatworm, which can be up to 20 feet long, and they come apart in segments. But, hold that up and say, I've got worms. This came out of my poop, and it's still wiggling. You would say, oh, okay. Now, is that a complex medical procedure to fix that? It's one pill, one time, or one pill today and one pill tomorrow. It literally is super easy to get rid of worms. You
don't got to colon flushes or cleanse.
No. What about coffee enemas?
Oh, no.
Coffee enemas.
People, just stop.
No. And I think that just like I was talking earlier about how ivermectin was demonized, and now ivermectin raised people from death. The same goes for every natural cure, because we're all pissed off about 2020. Yeah. All of us. Me, her, you, we're all pissed off about how we were treated like children, and things that could have helped people, we were told not to use as doctors, as healthcare providers, as patients. Now we're like, well, you know what? Maybe
they lied about everything.
And you know what? Maybe they did lie about a lot of stuff. But there's some things that are based in physiology and based in biology. And having worms is one of them. Worms are parasites. They suck the life, the nutrition out of you. You will get skinny and bony. You'll have dark circles. You'll have severe fatigue. You'll literally look like somebody from The Walking Dead if you've got a big case of flatworm or roundworm. If you've got pinworms,
your booty's going to itch.
You will scratch your butthole until it bleeds. That's how you know you got pinworms. And the doctor will take and put a piece of Scotch tape on your butt, and then look at it under the microscope.
If they come in and tell me that they're doing that, I'm just like, here's your stuff.
And then they'll see the eggs and say, yep, you got pinworms. Here's one pill to take one time, or one pill to take today, one pill to take tomorrow. Ta-da, you're cured. No liver cleanses, no kidney cleanses, no coffee enemas, no enemas. You don't need an enema. Yeah. No. So I hope that helps. thanks for the question, Keto Simple. I think you just asked it so that we could
Have fun talking
have
about
fun talking about it, because I get it, but at the same time, it's a little bit maddening for people to just think, I've got
Everybody
worms.
wants to be
Worms,
a-
that's what caused me to weigh 300 pounds. Jennifer, hey, 50-year-old female carnivore since April the 1st, still fighting fluid and losing the same 8 to 10 pounds ever since. Any suggestions? TIA. Now, do you mean you had a TIA, or is that an abbreviation? I don't know what that means. Oh, thanks in advance.
Oh.
That's what it means. I knew it was an internet abbreviation. Okay.
First,
So
my 16.
what do you think about a 50-year-old female who's losing the same 8 to 10, and it seems like fluid, because I'm guessing it comes and goes. Like, you'll gain 4 pounds in one day, lose 6 pounds the next day. What would you recommend for Jennifer?
So Jennifer, it's really time for you to go find a provider to talk to and have some good blood work. And you definitely need your thyroid fully evaluated, but you are also probably menopausal or moving into menopause. And remember when you had a cycle every month and that horrible PMS stuff happened, and well, your body's doing that
Hormones
over and
matter.
over and over and over again, because you're doing this with your hormones all the time when you're moving through menopause. So you definitely need to be checked out. But on a more serious side, she also needs to make sure there's no heart issues.
Exactly.
And other
That's
things.
why you need to see a doctor, either in person or virtually, because heart failure can cause this. Because when you start a strict carnivore diet, and Jennifer, you know if you're strict or not, your insulin's going to come down, and you're going to have a diuresis, meaning you're going to pee out a lot of unhealthy fluid that you've been holding, unless you've got some kind of heart failure. And there's many different kinds. Or you could have liver failure. That could slow down. Or you could have some degree of kidney failure. That could slow down and cause these weird, but it's probably the menopause.
Yeah,
probably the menopause.
But need to be safe.
100%. But you need to be checked for all those things, at least surface level, to make sure there's no just glaring signs of heart, liver, or kidney failure. And then we can focus on what it probably is, the menopause. Is this something somebody could do a virtual visit with you?
Absolutely.
Oh, sweet. So if you're in, do you have the?
No, you
Okay,
keep
here,
asking
now
me.
look,
I'm going
now
to
look.
memorize them.
You need to. When I was in 7th grade, we memorized all of the helping verbs with a song.
I have an
What's
idea.
this? This was in 7th grade.
And you can
Am is, are, was, were, be, being, been, has, have, had, do, does, did, may, might, must, shall, should, will, would, can, could.
Lord, Misha, how do you do this?
That's from 7th grade. I remember my whatever the hell that, I don't know, some part of speech. I'm sorry, Miss Arnold, that I don't remember what part of speech it is, but I remember the song she taught me in 7th grade. So make up a song with all your states, and then you can just sing it off, and it'll be cute.
You have this great photographic memory. I'm just going to send them to you and
don't
let
at
you
all.
make up a
I
song.
don't, or I would remember what part of speech all those words were. Does anybody know? Tell me in the comments, because now I'm wondering. I think they're was, were, be. Those are they verbs? I'm really bad at grammar. Really, yeah, I'm bad at that. Really bad at that. McTree, I had a fundiplication for chronic esophagitis, and it helped a lot, but I still get silence reflux sometimes. Would carnivore help this? Yes, 100%. I also have high uric acid levels. Is carnivore okay for that too? Yes, 100%. So many of the things that doctors recommend, oh, you can't do carnivore because you've got this or that. It's like, dude, that it literally will help that. Yeah. And I think doctors mean well, but sometimes they just haven't looked into stuff. And I call it arrogant ignorance, when you just pop off your opinion and you literally have done no research at all.
I think it's just regurgitation of what they learned.
But
this little tidbit.
As a licensed physician, if you say it, it carries more weight.
It does.
It carries people will be writing it. They'll be writing it down. Like, oh my God, okay, don't eat meat. Got it. But you literally didn't base that on anything.
True.
So yes, it's going to help both those. And then also anybody having reflux, do Dr. Berry's red brick cure. It helps so many people, and it's free. Put one red brick under each head post of your bed. Raise the entire head of the bed up 2 to 4 inches, because that keeps the acid down in your stomach. It uses gravity, which is a law, not a suggestion. And so therefore you just have less acid in the esophagus, which is where the pain comes from. Yeah, absolutely.
Now, when people are transitioning and they already have a high uric acid, you got to be careful, because you can get a gout flare or, uric acid, renal stones, just from the metabolic change that's happening.
Pretty rare, but it can happen.
So
Yep.
make sure you stay hydrated and have your anti-inflammatory on hand if you get a flare of those things.
100%. Diane, 70-year-old, high ApoB and HDL of 81. Triggs of 70. Doctor says statin. I asked for a CAC results today, 5.56 in the LAD only. Proper human diet for 2 years. So for a 70-year-old, are you concerned about a CAC score of 5? No, not at all. That's essentially a 0 for somebody who's 70. Because I'm guessing for decades you ate a crap diet. Maybe smoked, maybe drank, but now you're trying to live right and eat a proper human diet, and your A1C, your CAC scores are 5. You're fine. You do not need a statin at all. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. That's foolishness. Wow. Congratulations on having a CAC score of 5, by the way. AJ, I have H. pylori, went through 2 weeks of treatment just to feel the same. Doc is asking for an invasive test to see if I have major gastrointestinal issues. I'm giving Carnivore a shot. Yes, please do that. Anything else that can help? I'm terrified. I'm 28-year-old male. So first of all, don't stop being terrified. You didn't tell me your symptoms, so maybe they're terrifying. But just having H. pylori is not something to be terrified of. Okay. H. pylori is actually a bacteria that humans have had in their guts forever, literally since the beginning of time. Okay. It's only when we started eating lots of junk food and smoking that all of a sudden everybody started getting ulcers from, and then they discovered it was the H. pylori that was somewhat contributing to the ulcers, but it's not. You can have H. pylori for decades and not have an ulcer at all. So don't worry about the H. pylori part. But if the doctor thinks you need to have an EGD, a tube down your throat, or a colonoscopy, a tube up the other end, do those. Those are not huge major procedures. They're very minor. Not fun, but they're not dangerous in any way in the hands of a competent scopist. So go get those done, but stick to Carnivore 100%. And if your symptoms are reflux, heartburn, GERD, raise the head of your bed 2 to 4 inches. That's for free. And a lot of people that plus Carnivore is gone. It's whatever it was that went away. What do you think? What would you add?
If they're having more lower, you could add maybe some peppermint oil to that. You can also try apple cider vinegar if the raising the head of the bed is not enough. If it's more upper acid reflux type stuff.
Love those. Both very cheap and very easy and very safe. Let's see what's up with Jocko. LADA, Carnivore grows beta cells, fasting with LADA. There is no research that shows that a carnivore diet will help you produce new beta cells in your pancreas. Would I be shocked if that happened on a carnivore diet? I wouldn't be shocked, actually, because type 1 diabetes, LADA also almost certainly is, at least in part, an autoimmune condition. And a carnivore diet is the most uninflammatory diet on planet Earth, which calms down your immune system and says, honey, it's fine, relax, relax. And if then you still had some stem cells in your pancreas, you could regrow some beta cells. Right? Now, I'm not saying that will happen. I'm saying that's plausible. Absolutely. We need some research on that.
Go be N of 1.
So fasting, I love that you're doing a little fasting with your Carnivore. But what this is, you can actually test this. You can do your own experiment, Jocko. Get your C-peptide checked now, and then keep strict Carnivore with however, if you're doing an 18-hour fast or whatever your fasting regimen, just recheck your C-peptide every 3 months. Here's why. Every time a beta cell makes a molecule of insulin, it actually starts out as pre-proinsulin, and then your body knocks off something, and then it's proinsulin, and then your body knocks off C-peptide, and then it becomes insulin. And they both go into your circulation. So when you check a C-peptide, that is a wonderful proxy marker for how much insulin you're making. And so if, Jocko, over the months, if you see your C-peptide slowly going up a little, that means absolutely that you're making more insulin. By definition, yes, you are. So please, if you're in the private group, I want updates on this because that's exciting. Who we got here? Mike, what about heart disease? Is Carnivore good for that? So there are hundreds of different kinds of heart diseases.
Mhm.
Have you ever found a heart disease in a patient that you're like, oh, shoot, you can't do carnivore?
No.
No. Yeah, no. If you're a human being, you need to eat a proper human diet. And on the proper human diet is low carb, keto, ketovore, carnivore. Carnivore is a proper human diet, okay? There's nothing about any heart condition you could possibly have that will not at least improve a little bit by eating carnivore, high-fat carnivore, right? We know that cardiac myocytes actually function better burning ketones than they do glucose. This has been proven. This is shown. This is known, okay? So if you're eating a higher fat, meat-heavy keto or higher fat carnivore, your heart's actually, your stroke volume, your contractility, your ejection fraction, your cardiac output, all those are going to improve. Whether you have heart failure, whether you have blocked coronary arteries, if you have an electrical problem with the heart, it may not help it, but it ain't going to hurt it. So you can still benefit in hundreds of other ways by eating a carnivore diet. Oh, we got time for one more. Here's Cynthia. Hello, Dr. Berry. Dr. Bickman says that allulose works like GLP-1 injections, and there is some research to support that, but you got to take a lot of
And do they
allulose.
say it works like the injections, or it works like health GLP-1 effects?
I think, yeah, they probably summarized and maybe elementarized this. Is that concerning? No. Keto has reversed my type 2 diabetes, and I don't want to hurt my system. Oh, no, it's not going to hurt you anyway. And you'd have to take a lot of allulose for it to have that mimicking effect. If you're just putting a little allulose in your coffee, that's not going to do that. All right. Now, very important announcement. Everybody pay attention. Amanda Decker and I are actually going to be hosting an event in Dixon, Tennessee called Low Carb for Better Health. That's coming up in
September 12th and 13th.
September the 12th and 13th in Dixon, Tennessee, which is what, 30 minutes from Nashville?
Yeah, 30, 40 minutes in traffic.
Yep. And so you can come see us in Dixon, and we're going to have it at the state park.
Montgomery Bell State Park.
It's a beautiful park. They have hotel rooms there. There's lots of hotels around, but it's a 2-day or
2-day event, but you can come to one if you can't make it to both.
You can come to one day or both days. And so come, here's the address. It's LC4, the letter number 4, BH.com, lowcarb4betterhealth.com. And we would love to see you in Dixon, Tennessee in September.
And there's a unique PhD coaching experience. Your pro coaches are hosting an experience for you to see what it's like to work with them in the community.
Absolutely. Now, who are all the verified speakers so far?
Goodness gracious.
The ones that just popped in mind.
You.
Me, I'll be there. You'll be there.
I'll be there. I'm the MC, so you get to see a lot of me on the stage back and forth. Miss Nisha will be there.
Yes, Nisha will be there.
Dr. Andrea Salcido will be there.
Salcido.
Dr. Philip Ovadia.
Dr. Ovadia. Oh, nice.
Dr. David Diamond.
Dr. David Diamond. I love that guy.
Dr. Andrea, I already said her, didn't I?
Yeah.
Autumn Weathers will be there.
Autumn Weathers.
Tracy McBeath.
Tracy McBeath. Lots of people are going to be
Lots
there.
Of people.
Some of which you may know. So Low Carb for Better Health, LC4BH.com.
Absolutely. Join us.
Join us. And if you'd like to be live asking me questions tomorrow, literally tomorrow at 4 p.m. Central, then turn on your phone, open your camera app, point it at this thing, and then click the little yellow button that pops up, and you can join our community. There's 2 different levels that offer different benefits. And I'll be live, and you can ask me your questions tomorrow at 4 p.m. Central. Absolutely. How about that? Thanks so much for doing this.
Thank you.
It's so much fun doing these with you. Yeah. All right, guys, that's it. We're out of here. It's not too late to share this. Click the share button right now. Help me help somebody I've never met. See you next.